Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. This is Dr. Nick, your favorite personal growth coach, and I am excited to be with you on another wonderful Wednesday evening where we are talking everything about adulting in my purpose. I hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. I know I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it has been raining on and off all day, so it's been one of those days, but I am so excited to be here with you and to share, just as we do every Wednesday at 8:30, looking into the series and understanding adulting in my purpose and what that means, and learning strategies and tips to help you become more effective in your adulthood. So for those that are watching for the first time, or just to introduce myself again, my name is Dr. Nicole Rankin. I am the CEO of the Cole Academy of Personal Growth, and we are a professional development company where we provide leadership services, communication services, and also personal growth services to students, and not only students, but also the leaders that support them. So we are excited to be a part of this movement that has been evolved and created out of circumstances. A lot of times when you meet crisis or you meet times of tribulations, there's always an opportunity in the midst. So you have to be open and you have to be willing. And this opportunity to turn adulting in my purpose into like a session or a small group or a series evolved earlier in the year when we dealt with the whole, or began dealing with the COVID-19 and the pandemic and social distancing. And that's one of the opportunities that came about of that. So earlier this year in February, I published a journal called Adulting in My Purpose. And specifically, this is for millennials. These are for my college students, my young adults, young professionals, anybody in their 20s and 30s. And what I had found is, as a personal growth coach, I do a lot of mentorship and I do a lot of sessions with students. And a lot of the times when I'm talking to students, they have different circumstances, but some of the core issues and some of the core challenges are the same. So it's a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel lost. I feel stuck. I don't know my purpose. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to find it. And I just thought that, wow, there's so many young people that are in that space where they're trying to be an adult, but not necessarily having the equipment, having the tools and the equipment to be able to do that effectively. So this whole adulting in my purpose was birthed out of my own journey of personal development. It was a stage where I knew that I wanted to do, be, and have more in life. And I had to make a change. I had to make a change that if I was going to pursue one path that I had created for myself, and or if I was going to step out on faith and truly step into the calling that God has had for me. And I made my decision, but it was a process. It didn't happen overnight. It was a process that took me up to ups and downs, and it truly stretched me and allowed me to grow and to truly see my capacity and truly become who God has created me to be. So this is where this adulting in my purpose has stemmed from. My journey of over about 2 years have compiled into this journal. And so I started the journal with doing small cohorts. I do small groups, going through the journal, taking groups of millennials through the journal, and just seeing their transformation and seeing their aha moments and seeing their light bulbs go off and getting into a place where they can now have a sense of confidence and overcome some of their fears that they have that were hindering them from moving forward. And it's just been a tremendous experience so far. We've gone through, I think, four groups so far, and they are amazing. Yes, Alexis, love my shirt. Yeah, don't worry, you can purchase them. Hey, Alexis, she's was one of our in our cohort, so I love the interaction that we have, and we truly become a family. You know, we're holding holding each other accountable for the goals and the desires that we seek, and truly moving into this process together. So that is where all Adulting in My Purpose has come from. And now we're here doing Wednesday sessions, and this has been amazing as well. Totally stretching me outside of my comfort zone, going live and doing things, but the feedback has been phenomenal, and the things that we have shared and the people that have taught me that they needed this. And so I'm just excited to just continue to do what God has called me to do as he continues to open the door. So this is actually our 11th session now. We have been talking about so many aspects of adulting in my purpose. So one, I want to know who is out there watching now. Let me know who you are. Say hello. I'll send you the link to the to get the shirts. I'll put it in the I'll put a link to that so you can those that are interested in the shirt. I'll put a link in that. So let me know. Let me also do my watch parties. I'm learning how to get all this technology going. So please like, share on your page, do watch parties, all of that wonderful stuff. Let people know that we are here and we're going to have a great discussion today. All right. Hey, Kendra, happy Wednesday. Alexis is here. All right. So today, like I said, we just always like to go back and kind of refresh. We have been talking a lot of different aspects of adulting in my purpose. We started out with adulting in adversity and kind of just talking out how to navigate the space that we're in now of, dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the civil unrest, and just how to truly navigate that part. So we talked about that. We talked about adulting in your giftedness, understanding what your gifts are, and knowing that you have unique gifts that God has given you for a purpose, that you have been intentionally given these gifts, not only for you, but for the betterment of other people. So learning how to identify those gifts, how to identify those talents, and truly move into doing the things that you call to do. We talked about adulting with clarity, getting clarity on your goals, getting clarity on your vision, adulting with tenacity. Last week, we had an amazing session where we delved into some of the social aspects of what's going on in today's world. We had a group of millennials that were amazing panelists that talked about the racial inequality and some of the solutions that we can pursue to have some solutions to those problems. And so if you have not been watching, go back on my page, watch the video, share the videos. It's amazing information, measures, and strategies that are coming out of this. So today, somebody had emailed me or DM me and asked to talk about leadership. So folks that know me know that I'm a personal growth coach. I am a certified speaker, teacher, coach with the John Maxwell team. So I am everything personal growth and leadership. So I love to talk about leadership and leadership development and personal growth and how that all works together. So today we're going to tackle adulting as leaders. So I want you to think about where you are in your life. And a lot of times when I ask this question, I get mixed answers. So that question that I'm proposing is, are you a leader? And I want you to really think about that. Are you a leader? And you can type it in the chat if you know. If you don't know, that's fine. But I truly want you to think about, are you a leader? Now, being a part of the John Maxwell team, we have John Maxwell as our mentor. And one of his favorite quotes that he talks about leadership is everything rises and falls with leadership. And we see that all over. We see that in every aspect of life, that when anything is good is happening, who are we turning to, right? We're turning to the leadership. But when anything bad is happening, we can see that going on right now. Who are we looking to step up? We're looking for the leaders to step up. We're looking for leadership to take their position and to step up, right? So whether good or bad, we're looking for leaders. So everything rises and falls with leadership. So as you're growing up, as you're identifying as and truly seeking your place in the world, and truly coming into adulthood, it's so important for you to take the time and be intentional about your own leadership development. Now, when I talk about leadership development, I always love it when I go to organizations and I usually do a discovery call just to find out what are some of the challenges that they may be having because they want leadership development. And almost often the responses are that the team members aren't cohesive. There's no collaboration. There's high turnover. There is conflict within the team. But I question that because when people think about leadership, they always think about what they're doing with the other people. The difference of what I do with leadership development, the first thing I teach on leadership development is self-leadership. The highest form of leadership is self-leadership because you cannot effectively lead others if you cannot effectively lead yourself. So you have to understand before you even think about how well am I going to lead others? How well am I going to build a team? How well am I going to have people follow me? Think about how well are you leading yourself? How well are you leading the areas of your life that are important to you? How well are you leading your priorities? Self-leadership. So that's the start. So a lot of times when people think about leadership, think about leadership development, they have so many reasons why they don't truly take the time and make the investment to develop their leadership. Because just like a lot of things, personal growth, leadership, understanding your finances, getting education, it takes investment. It takes time. It doesn't just happen. Just because you get older in age doesn't mean you become a better leader. We can attest to that. We see in so many people that are older in age, but they are not good leaders, right? A lot of the leaders that we have seen that have transformed this country, they started young, right? So think about that. It's not about an age thing, so we can dispel that myth. And it doesn't just happen, right? You have to take the time and you have to take the investment and to do that. So a lot of times when I hear people say that they're not a leader is when they feel that because they don't have a title. And we're going to talk about what leadership means, but we can all attest. Now, how many people can have this example that they know somebody that has a title currently, but they currently have a title as the leader, but they are far from a good leader? Just put it in the chat. We don't have to call any names, but we have seen that, right? We have seen people with titles of leadership, but far from good leadership. But then we've seen people without the titles, but they are truly good leaders, right? So we know that it's not about a title. And a lot of times some people are waiting and jockeying for that position in order to develop their leadership skills. So we're going to talk about tonight that in your mindset, as you're going to adult with purpose, if you're thinking about adulthood, you're thinking about the position that you have in life, how can you be an effective leader where you are right now? Alexa says, she says, yeah, she not, don't call any names, right? We're not going to go there today. But thinking about how you can effectively be a leader where you are. So the point is that you have to start learning how to develop your leadership early, right? And what we know of leadership, the definition of leadership that we always say in the John Maxwell team is that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Right? So take that down. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So no matter where you are in life, no matter where you are, where you see yourself, you have the ability to influence somebody. And you probably have the ability to influence more people than you think. So being that the definition of leadership is influence, nothing less, nothing more, nothing less. I want you to think about just today, how many people did you come across today that you could have been or were an influence to? Think about that. Now, if you have a number, put it down, but think about that. Think about just the course of the day, how many people that you have the ability to influence. Research shows that during the course of an individual's lifetime, they will influence about 10,000 individuals. So just think about going day to day, how many people that you can influence, because that's what leadership is all about. Think about different ways you can think about your interactions with people. Think about just, whether you're at the workplace, all of the things that you do that you have the ability to influence a person. That's a powerful thought. And I want you to sink into that, because a lot of times when we think about leadership development, we're so stuck on getting titles. We're so stuck on the power. We're so stuck on the status. But Alexis says she had 12 people, just 12 people today. Imagine that, right? Imagine the number of people that you have the ability to influence and on a consistent basis, right? So if you have the ability to influence, I want you to know that you are a leader. And I say that because we're dispelling myths of what leadership is. A lot of times, like I said, when I go into workshops, I ask the question, and there will be a room full of adults, working professionals. I ask, how many leaders do we have in the room? And it will be maybe a third will raise their hand. But then when we come to the true definition of leadership and understanding that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, it's like the light bulb goes off. Everybody says, wow, I am a leader. And so when you think about leadership on that small of a scale, think about what difference you can make in this world. What difference you can make in your home, what difference you can make in community, what difference you can make in your state, what difference you can make in the nation, what difference you can make globally just by your influence. So today or tonight, we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you 5. I can give you more, but I'm going to give you 5 steps to adulting as leaders. All right. So 5 steps to adulting as leaders. Hey, Brandon, I see everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Danita, welcome. Lucille, welcome. So 5 steps to adulting as leaders. So number 1, the most important is you have to accept that you are a leader. You have to accept that you are a leader. And once you accept that, then you can move with the confidence, then you can move with the surety. You can move with the self-awareness that you have the ability to make a difference. There's a story, a tale of 4 monks on a road, right? There were 3 monks that decided that they wanted to go see Brother Sim at the monastery because he is known for exceptional leadership, and they were wanting to gain the skills. They wanted to draw from his knowledge. So they went on a pilgrimage to see Brother Sim. Now, along the way, they were arguing, they were bickering, who's going to do the tours, who's going to do the chores, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And it was just like oil and water with the 3 monks. But then on the 4th day, there was another monk that came along that was headed in the same direction and decided to walk with the other 3. Now, as the other 3 were bickering and complaining about this and that and the chores, when they started to do that, the other monk just volunteered to get things done. And he kept doing that each day. So the 5th day, he did the same. The other monks would bicker, they would complain, but the 4th monk would just volunteer to do the chores. The 6th day happened, the 7th day. Then all of a sudden, the monks started looking at this new monk that came along. And by the 10th day, they started working out their differences. They started helping each other with the chores, and the bickering stopped and the arguing stopped. And by the time they all got to the monastery together, they knocked on the door and said, hello, good morning. We're here to see Brother Sin. And the person that opened the door said, is this a joke? Brother Sin is the one that is among you. See, When you understand leadership is influence, it's not about title, it's not about status, it's not about money or any of those things. It's about influence. You can move, you can do things, you can act and truly make a difference because people are watching. And people do what people see. So when you think about your life and how many people are watching you, and a lot of times we don't think people are watching, but there are people that are watching you that you don't even know. Right? There are people are watching you that you don't even know. And it's amazing to me in this space of personal growth and leadership development. Something as simple like I do Facebook posts where I may post a spiritual quote or a positive quote and not understanding like the ramifications of it. I know I post it for myself just to keep me motivated and keep me going. But even in that little small act, I have people that will be in my come to the DM or put in the comments that they needed that word or it encouraged them and it made a difference. See, the thing about leadership is that you don't have to boast about your title. You don't have to boast about who you are, right? Working, your words and actions will speak for themselves. So Alexa says, I can admit that one point in my career was all about position, and I thought position meant power and money. But as I grew, I welcomed the influence I had on people. My thought process changed. Absolutely. And thank you for being honest and sharing that, because a lot of us battle with that, because we think about leadership and it's not until we gain a position or we're so busy trying to obtain a position that we forget how to be an influence on where we are. The Bible says if you're faithful over the small things, he'll make you ruler over many. So you have to start with what you are and being an influence and change that mindset. And once you change that mindset, then the doors will open for you. That's awesome. Awesome. I love that. So understand that real leaders know the difference between position and influence. So that's why you have to accept that you are a leader. And that's the first thing, because nobody's going to believe you if you don't believe it. So number one is accept that you're a leader. Number two is build good relationships. Leadership is about relationship. Influence is about relationship, right? You can't be a leader if nobody's following you. They said if you're a leader and you look back and nobody's following you, you just out taking a walk, right? So you have to be able to build good relationships. And that's going to take some growing on your part. Maybe you're not a relationship person. Maybe you're not a people person. So how do you build good relationships? This is something, if you're not a natural, I know people who are naturally gifted at people and they love people, and building relationships comes easy to them. For myself, it wasn't that easy. It's something that I had to learn. I had to learn the art of networking. I had to learn the art of speaking. I had to learn the art of negotiating and all of these things that help me build relationships with people. So this is the investment that I made for myself so I can grow as a leader. So you have to ask yourself, how do I build good relationships? There's a quote that says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the truth. When you are a leader, when you are a person of influence, if you can think about all of the influential people that have come in this world, and they didn't necessarily have titles, but it was the influence. There was the love for people. It was the heart and the passion that they have to help and to serve people that made a difference and brought the following that they need to create change. So when you think about building good relationships, that is so important. Just where you are, think about how can you build relationships. I remember when I was in my 9-to-5 job, I was promoted to a managerial position. And that was when, I was in school. I got the managerial position, and now I became a branch manager to over like 100 people. And it was my job to create a quality management system, something that they have never experienced, something that was very novel and was truly going to change a lot of their work processes. So initially, like Alex said, in my mind, my boss gave me all autonomy. He said, this is all you. You're the leader. Do what you need to do. So I said, okay. I got this. I got this. So I have a new title. I am a manager, and now you got to listen to me. Right. So I came in with all my plans of how we're going to do this, how we're going to change things, and it's going to be great. And let me tell you, they shot me down like it wasn't nothing. They talked about me. They were like, who do you think you are? I've been here long before you was even born. And for some of them, that was true. But, so I came in with that title and that position mentality in that position. And it was a total failure, epic fail. I didn't get anything done. It was totally just oil and water. And it wasn't until I changed my mindset about building good relationships that I saw things change. Because what a lot of people wanted to do, especially in that position, they just wanted to be heard. They wanted to embrace change, but it was on a slow process. So I had to go back, peel back, and build relationships, starting build relationship with the other leaders in the branch. I started building relationships with all the other employees that now, learning what they did, learning what their problems were, learning what their hardships and their challenges were before I just came in and say, hey, you got to change all of this. I took the time to build that relationship, and that took time. It did take time, but eventually once I took Alex says it was a very, very humbling experience. I can remember the days that I went home in tears because I had such a headache dealing with them in the initial stages of when I just came out and tried to boss up, and because I was a leader now that they were going to listen to me. Big mistake. So again, it's all about building relationships. And once in that particular position, once I built those relationships, then people were more open because they realized that I cared about what they did. I cared about their work, and I'm not here to change it. I'm not here to make things different. I'm just here to help them make things better. And together we were able to do that. And then eventually, after a few years, everything was so lovely. So think about your life and building relationships and earning trust with people because you truly care about people. You have to be willing to be open and be vulnerable and to build these types of relationships with people. And a lot of times when you're going through life and you're becoming, thinking about adult, you're focusing on you. But again, it's all about building relationships with others. It's all about giving. The more you give, the more you receive. So number 2 is build good relationships. Number three is produce results, right? You got to understand that as a leader, people going to follow you because you win, and people want to follow winners, right? When was the last time you ever saw somebody or heard somebody say that, man, that person fails all the time. All they do is fail. I think I'm going to follow them. It doesn't happen, right? So you got to think about producing wins, and especially as you're going through, you're transitioning into adulthood as a young adult. There are so many things that you're doing. You all are amazing. When I tell people and I talk to my mentees about what they're doing in life, I'm just imagining all the great things that they're doing, but they don't see it because they're so focused on the end goal, but they negate the little things that they have done that have been successful to get them to that end goal. So celebrate your end goals. Show people that you're successful. That's how, when people see that you're successful and you're doing things, then they're saying, wow, that's somebody that I want to look and follow. I've had that situation too, and they overcame it. And if they can do it, I can do it too. So these are results. You want to think about the opportunities you have to add value to others and be a person of influence. There's a story of 2 salesmen, and they were looking for business opportunities, and they went traveling to a developing country. And once they got to the developing country, they stepped out, and one of the men called home and said, honey, I'm coming home because I went and took a tour and nobody has shoes. So this is not a place where I need to be. So I'm going to come home. So he got on the next flight home. The shoe salesman number 2 did the same tour, saw the same people, called his wife and said, honey, you are not going to believe this. There is nobody here with shoes. I can sell to the entire country. This is awesome. You see, it's all about perspective, because you're always looking for an opportunity. As leaders, you're always looking for an opportunity to add value to others so you can get those results. So think about, Alex, I think you mentioned that for 12 people that you influence today, how could you add value to them? How could you produce results for them? So you're thinking about being intentional about the results that you are coming to. So you want to be result oriented. And there's so many opportunities out there for you to add value, because that's what leadership is. It's about influence. It's about adding value to others. So you have to be intentional, because a lot of times we can go day in and day out because we're thinking about our own self. We're thinking about our own life. We're thinking about, the things that we have to do, that we can often forget that there are other people out there, right? So we want to be intentional about adding value. So I encourage you, something that's taught by my mentor is that every single day you pray, ask God, who can I add value to today? And wait for the answer, because he will give you one. Who can I add value to today? And then you intentionally seek out that person. And it could be something small. It could be something as simple as a text message, just to say, hey, I was thinking about you today. A lot of times we get those the signs or thoughts that we can do, that things that we can do to help other people, and we ignore them because we're so caught up in our own self. But being a leader is selfless. It's about being a servant leader. We hear those buzzwords, servant leader. It's about adding value to others. So you always want to be in the mindset of how can you add value to others, and how can you produce the results that you need to, because people will follow you when you have results. So that's number 3. So we have number 1 is accept that you are a leader, right? Number 2, build good relationships, right? And number 3, produce results. On to number 4. Number 4 is pour into others. Now, the goal of effective leadership is not to build followers. I know we live in a time where we're all about the likes. We're all about the hearts. We put something up on social media, and then 5 minutes later, we're looking to see how many people liked it, how many people shared it, how many people gave us some hearts. But it's not really about that. We're here on this earth to be givers. We're here not to be consumers. We're here on this earth to be givers. So the more you give, the more you receive. The more you help others get where they want to go, the more you get what you want to go. So you have to be intentional about pouring into others. So you have to ask yourself, and a lot of times, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, too much is given, much is required. And people don't want to accept the fact that they are leaders, that God has created them as leaders, that ability to influence, because that's who we are created to be. Spiritually speaking, we're created to be the salt of the earth. That's influence. When you eating some bland food and you want to change it, what you do? You go get the salt. Unfortunately, too much salt, but you go get the salt, right? Because you want to change it. Right. So we're called to be the salt of the earth. We're called to be the light in darkness. Right. So we're called to be change agents. And a lot of times it's hard for people to accept that, because we're in our own comfort. We're in our comfort zone, and we don't want to take the responsibility that our life is not our own. Our life is not our own. So you have to ask yourself, what type of person do you want to be in this world? As you are experiencing and going into adulthood and carving out the path of your life and truly adulting in your purpose, you have to ask yourself, what type of leader do you want to be? Think about it. What type of leader do you want to be? Do you want to be the leader that is self-serving? Do you want to be the leader that has selfish motivations, that's all about self, not thinking about others? Or do you want to truly step into your purpose and step into the things that God has destined to you to be? Because the reality is that when you're talking about purpose, it's always going to involve people. When you're talking about adulting in your purpose, it's about people. It's always going to involve people. So you'd have to think about what type of leader are you going to be, and ask yourself, there's so many things that you're experiencing now, have experienced in your past, that can be breakthroughs, not only for you, but for other people that are going through the same thing, that may have seen your experience, and that truly can relate to you and your experience. As they said, we're overcome by the word of God and the power of our testimony, right? So all the things that we go through, all the experience that we have, it's not for us, it's for other people. And we have to be willing, we have to be open, we have to be vulnerable as leaders. Now, again, this is a choice. You have a choice. But I'm talking to the people who truly want to be effective leaders. I'm talking to the leaders, people that truly want to go to that next level in their leadership. I'm talking to the people that truly want to go to that next level in their influence of others and truly adult in their purpose. Especially young people, right? When you're even, when I talk to young people, especially even in going back into the high school and middle school, they're going through so much. And to think even the things that they're going through, how much of influence that they can be at that age to help other people. So as you're adulting, as you're figuring life out, as you are uncovering your purpose, uncovering your giftings, uncovering your talents, and putting it all together to culminate into this amazing journey of life that you have been destined and created to live. Think about, how are you going to pour out to others, right? There's a law of empowerment says that only solid leaders empower others, right? So you think about that. We're not here as leaders to build followers. We're here to build other leaders. So we have to be intentional about pouring into others and being that example and being that role model that we need to be for others, to be other leaders. So number 4 is to pour into others. So I want to encourage you, as you make growth your goal, because this is what this is all about. Adulting in my purpose is all about personal growth and development. This is growth and getting outside your comfort zone, doing what you need to do to get to that next level. I talked about raising that lid, right? And that's all that we're doing. Every time we come on this call, we're raising that lid a little higher so we can expand our thought process, expand our potential, and do things that are different, right? To get different results, because we truly want to improve. We truly want to do, be, and have more in our life. So as you are making growth your goal, think about, how are you going to pour into others? Who are you going to pour into? Who are you going to help see the things that you have saw? Who are you going to help to do the positive things that you have done? Who are you going to help win and get results, right? And let me put a pin right there, because I want you to look at this. We talked about that. Was step number 4. So first step is accept yourself as a leader. Number 2 was build good relationships. And number 3 was produce results. If you look at number 1, 2, and 3, who is the focus of all of those steps? If you get it, put it in the comments. If you get it, put it in the comments. Who is the focus of step 1, 2, and 3? We're talking about accept yourself as a leader, build good relationships, and produce results. So if you think about steps 1, 2, and 3, if you look at it, it's about self, right? And remember when I started the session, I said the highest form of leadership is self-leadership. So even before you start pouring into others, you are doing what you need to do for yourself. You are accepting yourself as a leader. You're pouring into yourself to build yourself up as a leader. Exactly. Alex says you. So you're pouring yourself, you're building yourself up and getting your self-awareness and getting your confidence and knowing that you're a leader. You are doing what you need to do to build good relationships. So you're investing in whatever you need to build good relationships. If you're not a good relationship builder, then you're investing in, you're growing, you're stretching yourself, getting to results. This is all about you. So before, and that's one thing I wanted to think about. A lot of times when we think about leadership, we're so fixated on how we're going to help others, but understand, like everything, it's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. Right? There is a process that needs to embrace. There is a process that we need to grow into. We need to grow and to become the leaders that we want to follow and the leaders that we want to be. So it just doesn't happen overnight to say, hey, I want to be a leader, so let me start pouring into others. No, you got to check yourself. You got to check yourself. You have to, it's all about the highest form of leadership is self-leadership. And then the highest form of purpose of leadership is to add value. So you're pouring into yourself, you're growing as a leader. And the more you're pouring into yourself, the more you're going to have to pour out as a leader. So think about that. And I wanted to touch on that because that was an important point. In this process, understanding that it's a process that has to be embraced. And okay, so everybody got that? So thinking about that, y'all still with me? Awesome. I love it. So the last step that I have is to let your reputation speak for itself. Let your reputation speak for itself. Now, what do I mean by that? Leaders, in order for leaders to get respect, right? You can't force it. You can't force people to respect you. You can't force people to trust you. You can't force people to see you as a leader. What's going to happen is they're going to be moved by your words, and not only your words, by your actions. So of course, actions speak louder than words. So that you're going to walk the walk, and not only walk the walk, but you're going to talk the talk. Right? So what you do is going to speak volumes. So you don't have to go boasting. You don't have to self-promote yourself in this process, because when you get to a point where you have gone through the steps, where you accepted yourself as a leader and understand that God has called you as a leader, when you have practiced building good relationships, right? When you have results and produce good results so people can see that you're moving in the right direction, that you're making moves, that you're doing good things, and the results show. And then now you're pouring into others, and people are you're adding value, and people are growing because of you. People are moving into their destiny because of you, and they're winning because of you. Then your reputation will speak for yourself. You don't have to go blasting it. You don't have to promote yourself. As the word says, God will make room for your gifts, and your gifts will make room for you. So it's important when you get to that point that you let your reputation speak for yourself, because this is what this is about. You're talking about being an effective leader and growing and pouring into each other and growing yourself and building relationships. It's all about knowing who you are. And when you know who you are, you don't have to wait for validation for other people. I love the quote by Les Brown that says, other people's opinions of you does not have to be your reality. And that is so true, especially as young adults. I find that when I talk to my young adults and those that I mentor, you're challenged by seeking validation from other people. And this goes, be it from your parents, be it from your peers, be it from coworkers, whatever. You're seeking validation from others. But let me tell you, as you're developing yourself as a leader and going through these steps and accepting yourself as a leader, number one, and knowing that you have been created to lead, and then building relationships, and then getting to results, and then pouring in and adding value to others and increasing your influence with others, then you don't need other people to validate you, because your work and your words will speak for you. Your reputation will speak for you. So you don't have to seek validation in other people because God already validates you. God already called you. God already gave you purpose. God already gave you an assignment. So that validation is already validated. So now you just have to walk in your power and walk in your authority that you have as the leader that you have been given to be. And so that's why that's the last step is let your reputation speak for yourself. And that is the 5 steps to adulting as leaders. Alexa says, actions always speak louder than words every time. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so important that we understand that, a lot of times talk is cheap, right? But when you back that up by actions, now I can take you seriously because I see that you about business. I see that you're about it, right? You're not just to talk, right? So once you have those actions, then you just allow your reputation to speak for yourself. So those are the 5 steps. 1, accept that you're a leader. 2, build good relationships. 3, produce results. 4, pour into others. And 5, let your reputation speak for itself. So that is all I have for today. Like I said, I love talking about leadership development. I love developing young people so they can see their true potential as leaders and truly step into the authority that they have been given as leaders, and not only lead others, but most importantly, lead themselves. It's because that's where it starts, all about self-leadership. So I hope and I pray that something was said tonight that was helpful, that caused you to think. And not only that, I'm gonna give you some homework. I want to challenge you. For those that are listening, those that are out there, I want to challenge you. I want you to think about, we're going to be intentional today or tonight. I want you to think about 2 people, be it one personal or professionally, however you want to work that out. I want you to think of 2 people that you are going to intentionally increase your influence with. And you're going to do this for the next 7 days. So this is going to be your challenge for the next 7 days. You're going to pick 2 people that you're going to intentionally increase your influence with. And what does that look like? You're going to do the steps. 1, first, you're going to accept the challenge and accept that you are a leader, right? And then 2, you're going to build relationships. You're going to find ways to connect with that person. You're going to find ways to build that relationship with that person over the course of 7 days. And then you're going to produce results, whatever you desire. So let's say that you have, you want to resume a broken relationship with a family member. So now you're going to take the steps to make the phone call, right? You're going to take steps to reach out to say, hey, can we meet? Can we do a Zoom call? So you're going to produce results, right? So you're going to build relationships, you're going to produce results, and then you're going to pour in to add value to them. So pick 2. This is 2, because we're just not here for just talk. Talk is cheap, right? It's all about actions. It's all about results. So we need to put this stuff into action. So I am challenging you, take 2 people for the next 7 days that you're going to intentionally add value to. And I want to know how it's going. So this session will be up. So come back to the chat and let me know over the course of the next 7 days how it's going and what your experience is and how you felt as stepping up into a leadership position and adding value and being a person of influence with those 2 people that you selected. So that's your challenge. Yes, I like to give homework. That's the teacher in me. Sue me. So again, I hope something that was said truly add value to you and cause you to think and causes you to stretch yourself to get to the next level in your life as a leader, as an adult, as you are adulting in your own, in your purpose, in finding the things and doing the things that you have been called to do. So again, if you have not gotten your copy of Adulting in My Purpose, you can get that on Amazon.com. We will do another challenge. I'm not quite sure when yet. I will come back, so be on the lookout for that. We'll go do another cohort going through the Adulting in My Purpose journal, so you can pick that up on Amazon.com. I have a few more announcements. We are going to do, yes, forgot, we are going to have a social, an Adulting in My Purpose social. It is scheduled for June 27th at 5 p.m. So mark your calendars. We'll have information up on my page. So for all my millennials out there, we're still social distancing, you know, and being cautious. So you should be home. You should be home. And so let's have some fun. Let's get together. Kendra says she loves the challenge. Yes, please. I am going to check on everybody who says that they are accepting the challenge. For those that are accepting the challenge, put I accept in the comments, because you know I like to hold people accountable. So if you accept the challenge that we talked about earlier, put I accept in the comments. So again, we'll have our Adulting in My Purpose social on June 27th at 5 p.m. It's going to be a virtual social. We have some exciting things planned. We have one of our millennials that went through the cohort that is going to organize it. So we're going to have fun. So mark on that calendar. Also, we have an Adulting in My Purpose Facebook group. So for all of my millennials, young adults, and 20s and 30s, we're all in this group. We're holding each other accountable and uplifting each other. So if you're looking for a community of like-minded people, search us on Facebook. It's Adulting in My Purpose. Get the request and get in the group and introduce yourself and let us all adult in our purpose together. So again, thank you for sharing this time with me. Again, I hope I said something that will take you to the next level and add value to you. Remember the 7-day challenge, our social on June 27th. Look out for that. And we'll see you again next Wednesday here, right on Facebook Live at 8:30 for another session of Adulting in My Purpose.